Okay, we are back after 1 week delay with our Data Jazzers podcasts on Tuesdays as every time. This time just a week later, unfortunately, Nicola was having some health issues and he wasn't able to join. And today we are back, last time for this year. So continuing next year. And today it's a real pleasure to have with us, I think, one of the well-known YouTube producers on everything Power BI topic. So, Ruth, welcome and thank you for joining us and thank you for letting us to bother you for 1 hour during a busy schedule.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the invite.
How are you, Ruth?
I'm good. I'm good. I had COVID last week, so I was feeling a bit worse, but now I'm good.
Yeah,
Smell,
so
taste,
we
everything is good. So
so we had all the health issues regarding this podcast last week, so it's good now.
yeah, definitely. Oof. But yeah,
Nicola, you
it's
are
part of the
feeling
year,
well
right?
as well.
Yeah. Now I'm good. Now I'm good. Last week was not so nice, but yeah. Luckily now I'm fine. Almost at 100%.
That's good.
Yeah. And from my side also, welcome Ruth and thanks for joining us. It's real pleasure to have you at Data Jazzers.
Thank
You are one of the true legends, I would say, of Power
you.
BI community.
Thank you. Means a lot. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. So yeah, let's start with maybe something that is freshest thing I would say, and that most of our community enjoyed recently, thanks to you. And I'm referring to 25 days of DAX challenge. I know many people around were so excited about this challenge. And can you tell us more about the inspiration and motivation for this kind of organizing this kind of, it's not a competition, but let's say a challenge for all the community members.
Yeah. You probably you guys know this. DAX is not easy. It's perhaps the most difficult part of Power BI. So I'm always trying to find different ways for people to learn it without suffering too much. You know what I mean? So there's so many books you can read, and there's so many videos you can watch until you actually understand something. So is when I created it, I thought it would be fun to have like a Power BI file that contain common questions that you would ask a data set for anybody. So that's why I use a Northwind and the sales data set, that people could just go at it and slowly, answer each question every day. And then I would do a video to say, okay, this is how I solve it. There's never one way to solve a DAX question,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
There's like a million ways. So some are more effective than others, some are more elegant, some are more. But then I said, okay, this is how I would solve it, and I normally show the way that I can explain it the best, which is not always the most performant or the most beautiful, but just so you can frame yourself with a question and learn to think in a DAX way so you can actually create any DAX measures. And I thought, oh, oof, 25 days is quite a lot.
Yeah.
But because I was planning it for Christmas, there's all these 100 days of code and 30 days of
Yeah.
maths and all the
Festive this, festive that, yeah.
yeah,
Advent code, yeah.
exactly. So they're like, well, why not? Let's do 25. So at least we stop on Christmas and then, people can rest of the rest of the year.
Last week, yeah.
Yeah. But it was tough, actually, especially the first edition. It was quite hard. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can imagine. But you had some, let's say, volunteers to help you this time, and topic was quite interesting, like football. So
Yeah. One thing that I didn't think when I chose the topic of football, it was that, not everybody watches football, right? So in America, football is something else completely. So I was just even commented like, oh my God, what is a penalty? What is the score? What is they had no idea of how to approach the data set because they were not familiar with football. So it's like, oh, I should have thought about that.
Yeah, that's challenge on its own to understand the data. Yeah, if you're not in that topic, like for us,
Yeah.
probably Augustine, for us it will be easy. We are watching football, so but yeah, it's like
Watching
for
whereas,
football,
someone.
and we know a bit of ducks as well.
Yeah. That's true.
yeah,
And
That's true.
Ruth, looking at retrospectively at those challenges you put out there, do you know how many people actually actively engaged over some time, and how many people are really working on those challenges daily?
yeah, it's a bit hard to know exactly how many people, because you have the possibility to submit your answers, but a lot of people don't, and they tell me that they are participating, but they do not submit the answer. So, and they tell me also that they do it in teams. So at a company, the BI team would do it, for example. So I have, it's very difficult to measure the impact, but I would probably say, like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 people play, something like that. I
That's
think
a
it's a
nice
fair
number.
estimate. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
not
really
like
nice.
massive, but it's good. It's, people playing with DAX is a good thing.
And next to that, I'm following your work and everything, and then I saw that I don't know, almost 1,000 videos on YouTube, 100,000 subscribers, and that's really a huge number. How do you organize your time? When do you produce all your content? How do you come up with ideas? Just wondering, because it's really massive amount of content you are producing.
Yeah. So normally the ideas come from customer work. So I do something for a customer and I say, like, oh, this is actually quite neat. And I hope that other people are interested. So I create a video about it. And because I have it fresh in my mind, it's quite quickly to do. Obviously, I cannot show the same data set. So you always have the hassle of, you have to use the Northwind data set and prepare everything all over again. But it makes it a lot easier when you already have something in mind that you want to do. Otherwise, it's just requests or fun things. I'm playing with the data and I want to do something fun and I do a video. But those videos do not do very well. Never. Yeah.
How long does it take for you, for example, to produce one video of, let's say, 10 minutes duration?
Oh, it can go from a minimum of half an hour to days.
Yeah.
Depending
That's
on
why
the
I
topic.
asked. Yeah. I know
Yeah.
that it's the most demanding part when you need to do editing, post production, and all the other things.
Yeah, there's also the thing, one thing is when you're doing something yourself, you don't really have to know everything about what you're doing. You can copy paste and you can do stuff. And when you're teaching it, you need to know because you are explaining it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can get away with, like, oh, I just copy pasted it, but you can't do it all the time. So
Yeah.
suddenly things that you thought you knew, you try to explain them and you can't. You're like, oh my God, I should be able to know that. I've been doing this like 1,000 times, but I'm not able to explain it, which means that I didn't really understand what I was doing. And then you have to go back and research it, and sometimes it gets nasty. It depends on the topic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Okay.
Yeah.
So, how would you describe your Power BI journey from early days till now? So, when did you start with Power BI? Was it before Power BI as a standalone product or afterwards?
Yeah. So I started with Excel, when they were putting Power Query and Power Pivot in Excel. But the problem that I had with Excel is that the data sets were big. So it was crashing all the time. So I was able to do stuff, but to a certain point, and then I would just put the Excel the Excel files aside and then did something else. And then I was working for an American company. I was allowed to enter the beta test of Power BI. So I started from the beginning, from the very, very beginning, until, all the way up to today, which is a completely different
Yeah,
product.
different. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. From self-service to fully blood enterprise thing,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
in just a few years, it's quite amazing.
That's good to hear. And we have a question from Andy Cutler coming in. So, what's your favorite Power BI feature or favorite Power BI area?
It has to be, for me, all the Power BI work, even though I enjoy Power Query a lot, I enjoy doing DAX and modeling, everything is means to an end. And the end is to actually provide useful information to somebody so they can do their job. So for me, it has to be data visualization and presenting the data, and digging into the data and finding insights. And that's what I enjoy the most. But to be able to do that, I have to do all the other stuff,
Network
which
stuff.
I
Yeah.
enjoy, but not as much as just doing the final stuff. Like, oh no, here you have it. So yeah.
That's
So
good. That's good because it's interesting. So we had many guests throughout this year, and you always get somehow different answers to similar questions, and always seeing some people like working on a backend stuff with Power Query and everything. But yeah, I completely agree with you. So it has to come to an end, and that cherry on top is beautiful, nice looking visual part.
Yeah. That is what people are going to consume, right? The rest is just what you need to do in order to have all that stuff. So it's also the hardest part, probably. Not that the DAX and the Power Query and the modeling is not hard, but this technical stuff, you can Google it and you can fix it somehow. But then how do you make data approachable is quite a tough thing because it depends on so many things that, yeah.
And how?
What is your
What's your approach? What's your approach usually on when you have a data set? When you look at it, everything is modeled, and now you need to create appealing visual part. How do you approach it? From which angle, which perspective?
Yeah. So I think it's very, very, very important to talk to the people that is going to consume the report and to find out, okay, what have you been doing before? Because it will give you an idea of what they are normally looking at. And also, what would you like to see? Normally, they will leave you alone on that because it's like, okay, I don't know, Ruth, just give me something good, right? It's not always that you have an opinion on everything. But if they do have an opinion, you want to hear it. You want to know, like, okay, we use this every month for our monthly meeting, or we use it for giving information to our director, or we use it for whatever it is, right? Because it gives you an idea of how difficult it can be, which visuals you can use, what formatting should you have, and then you start playing with it. And I think there should be a weight between, okay, I've done all the DAX, all the Power Query, all the visualization, to actually, not all the visualization, but all the technical stuff, to when you actually start doing the visualization. So you get a breathing time, and then you get excited about the data set again. And then you do something, you wait a day, you look at it again and say, does this make sense at all or not? And then connect with your customers all the time. Does it make sense to you guys? Do you understand it? Would you like to have more of, less of? And build it together with them. They are the ones that are going to use it. They have to be happy.
yeah, that's true. Do you have a kind of framework or template like when you're talking to future consumers? Like I don't know, not a questionnaire, but let's say a framework of things that you need to discuss with them before you prepare something. I know a lot
Yeah,
of people are doing that.
yeah. I have common questions that I normally want to ask. Some of them have to do with technology. Some of them have to do with the actual visualization and job part. Like, what do you guys do? Like, depending on what they do, I will deliver one thing or another. So, but for the technical side, you want to know, like, when do you want to refresh it, right? Because if you want to have it live, the architecture behind is completely different than if you just want to have it like once a week or once a month. So you need to know this type of things. What type of aggregation of the data do you want? Obviously, I don't ask that. I said, okay, do you want to see it by month or by day, or do you want to see? So you know how much data you have to bring in, because that will also affect the technology, right? If they have a lot of data and they want to see it by the second, then you're in big trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So all
Completely
those
makes
questions
sense.
you need to ask to understand, okay, what do I need to deliver technically? Also, are you going to publish it to the service? Is it going to be a scheduled refresh? How are you going to consume it? Do you want to see it on a mobile, or do you want to see it on a big screen when you
Video beam,
create
yeah.
the building?
Yeah. That depends on many different things. I agree. We have very interesting question from Tarin. What has been one of your most challenging workarounds on Power BI?
Oh, I
Augustin,
have
this
many.
is a great question. I think we can put this into the list for all our future guests.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tarin. That's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, there. Oh my gosh. I've done so many workarounds. Like 30%, 40% of my videos are like hacks. How do you hack Power BI to do what you want it to do? And I think the hardest ones are always on the visual side, right? Because I think that's where we have the less flexibility. You can hack a ton in Power Query, you can hack a ton in DAX, or modeling doesn't need any hacking. It is what it is. But when it comes to visualization, it's tough, right? You want to order the columns in a matrix, and you can't. You have to start doing some DAX magic to make it happen, right? So I think visualizations are the toughest hacks to do in Power BI for sure for me. So hopefully with this new version that they're going to do with the visual layer, we avoid a lot of these hacks. That's what I'm hoping for.
We'll find out soon. Go ahead, Augustin. Yeah.
We have Miguel Myers in January joining us in this podcast, so he will probably give a broader perspective on what is coming in, what is expected from visual part of Power BI.
Oh, wonderful. It's going to be a wonderful meetup, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
let's
now,
information. We want to know.
And now when Tarin asked this question, so we would go to one question we ask all of our guests. And if you saw our channel, there is a compilation video of the most interesting answers. So from your perspective, what are the most important concepts in Power BI, one for beginners, one for intermediate users, and one for advanced users?
Yeah, I have to say, you're going to kill me for these, but I have to say, it depends. It actually depends on who is trying to learn. Because if you're a business user, or if you are a Power BI developer, I think you have different needs, and you should focus on different things. So if you are a business user, for example, I would focus on Power Query. I would learn Power Query, because that's what you're going to do. It exists in Excel, and then you can do everything you need just with that. You don't need to do a lot of modeling. You can put tables together, and then nobody's going to use your models afterwards, or not a lot of people, so you're good. But if you're a Power BI developer, then you cannot do that type of, or you should not do it, that type of solution.
You should not, yeah.
So you need to be a little bit more strict. Probably your reports are going to be consumed by a lot of people, and they have to be technically correct. And then you should learn, how to model. You should learn DAX properly. I think if you're a Power BI developer, you will have a huge advantage if you learn DAX well, because that's the most difficult part of Power BI, and a lot of customers are asking for help with DAX. So you would be attractive in the marketplace, more than so that if you would learn, modeling or Power Query. Power Query is easier, so you don't need a consultant for that in most cases. So it depends on who you are and what you're using Power BI for. I would recommend to focus on different things, and always the visualization part is important because you spend hours and hours and hours doing all the technical stuff. You put the report out there and nobody uses them. Can you imagine? Like that you don't want that. You want people to use your report and you want them to be excited and you want to learn something. So the last mile is very, very important and people should put a lot of attention to it.
That's an interesting approach. I think it will be when we put it together with all of the other answers, I think it will really be a good mix of everything. And just when you're mentioning DAX is hard, so we had also Alberto here and everything. What, from your point of view, is the hardest part of Power BI? So is it Power Query, is it DAX, or is it the create comprehensive visual part?
I would say technically it's definitely DAX for sure, because you can always get away with poor design visuals or not like super attractive. If people need the data, they'll use it anyway. But you cannot get away with not being able to deliver DAX, right? You have to, if they are asking you for a moving average, you have to create it. And then you have to, if you have a lot of data, you have to create it in a way that they don't die waiting for it to respond. So it has to be, fast. So I would say DAX is the most difficult part for Power BI. But obviously, probably the second will be like presenting data in an appealing way.
So two most important things are all in the same time, two hardest things. So good luck to all of us.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is. Well, I think the Power BI community has improved a lot when it comes to data visualization, and they're doing a lot better than the designs that we saw at the beginning. You can see these challenges that are helping people to get their head more in place as to what makes a good visual. It doesn't only need to be beautiful, obviously, but it helps if it looks good, even if it, there's just bar charts and line charts. It's
and kind of for storytelling with data.
Yeah. So it's good. We are seeing a shift in the community, going a little bit towards the Tableau community does, and I'm happy to see that, not just technical stuff.
Yeah. As someone who is, as Andy mentioned here, so data visualization is also my weakest part. I enjoy watching how people are talented to show the data in that appealing way. So I'm always amazed.
Yeah. And I know there are people that are very, very, very envious about how you do DAX, right?
Yeah, I mean, all of us have some stronger, some strengths and some weaknesses. Data visualization is definitely my weakest side.
Yeah, but you can team with people. That's the good thing.
Sure.
If you're not very good with DAX, team with somebody that is. If you're not very good with data visualization, team with your marketing team or somebody that knows how to do it. So you don't have to. Power BI is so big that you don't have to know everything.
It's impossible, I would say, to know everything.
Yeah.
As you said, Power BI is so broad now that it's impossible to keep the pace with all the aspects of Power BI. So it's really
exactly.
hard.
So team up with people and do it together. It will be
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not even knowing everything. Just knowing that it exists is currently a challenge. Every time, I don't know, every once in a while I open something on Power BI Service, Power BI Desktop and say, wow, since when it's here?
Yeah.
I saw it the first time. So it's really getting hard to track what is happening, all the new updates, all the new things coming in all the time.
Yeah. And we haven't talked about Power BI Service at all, but you have data marts, data flows, pipelines. You have
it's a whole different world. Yeah. Yeah.
The dream for a data engineer is there in Power BI Service, right? So it's tough, but just team up with people and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a good advice, I would say. Ruth, what is your background? We had here previously, Augustine mentioned some of our guests. We had members of Power BI Cat team, also other community stars. and their stories are obviously quite different. So what's your story? How did you ended up with in Power BI world?
Yeah, I'm an engineer, and I have worked all my life as an engineer. So I don't know. I guess being an engineer, you're an analytical person just by default and curious, and I've always used and loved data. I I was never like a super user in Excel, but I was like this, I could
Advanced
people
user.
came to me, to ask some advanced Excel. I wasn't the best or anything, but just I could do Excel. So when Power BI came, I thought like, oh my God, that is absolutely brilliant. Not at the beginning, obviously, because Excel could do a lot more than Power BI could, but because it evolved so quickly, it was like, oh my God, I'm in data heaven. So I started working more and more with it, and customers started calling, and I said like, why not? Let's do it full time. So it was just by coincidence. I never planned it. It just happened, kind of.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Yeah, interesting to hear how people from different backgrounds, with different backgrounds, ended up in Power BI, and yeah, basically doing that now for a living. I would say that a few years ago it was really hard to imagine that. Yeah, it will be like that. Yeah.
Yeah, that you could work just with data. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's been people, I've known a lot of people that work just with Excel for many years, and they do consulting and they training, and so this been already around, but I guess not as wide as it is today with Power BI.
Exactly.
And what's your current focus? So how would you describe your current day, week, month, and what is pushing you forward day by day?
Yeah, so right now I am learning Python. You probably know that, and I'm enjoying it too much. So I have to stop myself from not doing Python all the time. So, um, but I do the normal. So I do consulting work, and then I do all these YouTube and manage the company, all that stuff, and then the rest of it I do Python and Matplotlib and all that stuff. So I'm just going back to the basics and learning again. Quite fun.
Talking about Python, so we have a question from Donald. How are you enjoying learning Python? I've always meant to learn it, but so.
Oh my God. Yeah. Python is amazing. Amazing. Because
how did you start? I mean, some special reason, like you had a client that needed some Python solution, or was it just out of curiosity? I'm really interested to know. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've always thought that at some point I would like to learn how to code, but I didn't have any plan or any language in mind. It was like, oh, it would be nice to code. And I thought that it would have been cool to, I love e-papers. I don't know if you know what the e-paper is, but it's basically like a display that doesn't need any batteries to run. So it's like a paper. And you need to know Python to code those things. And there is like a massive e-paper that I would love to be able to code to do some projects in it. And I said like, oh, it would have been nice now that I have a little bit of extra time to learn Python and code that thing. And then on Twitter, I just said it. I said, I'm going to learn Python. And somebody told me like, hey, why don't you try Matplotlib and Pandas? Because they are actually quite useful. I was like, I wasn't doing it for the data part, but I said, okay, I'm going to look, I'm a curious person. So I said like, okay, let's see what that thing is. And oh my God, he's good. He's very, very good. So the thing with Python is that you can do anything that you can imagine. Absolutely anything. There are no limits because you code it yourself. So you don't have to wait for anybody to code it for you. You do it. So the only limitation you have is how good you are as a coder. That's it. because you can do otherwise anything. So I am creating my YouTube thumbnails with Python, coding them.
Oh, really?
So I just have a script that it generates all the Python stuff. My goal is to have press a button and then send a WordPress post to the website, post the video to YouTube, post it. I was doing Twitter. I'm not doing Twitter anymore. So I'm going to do Mastodon and LinkedIn just with the one press of a button with thumbnails and all that stuff, everything managed from one Excel sheet. And I'm very close to do that in just 3 months learning Python. How cool is that?
That's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. What are your learning resources? Can you share with us, like books or some online tutorials or
Projects. And
projects?
then,
Okay.
yeah. So, but this is a personal thing. I learn just by doing. I cannot, if I read a book, I learn nothing. I just can't. I know there's people that are gifted enough to do it. I just don't. I have to do it. I have to fail. I have to figure it out. And then it sticks with me. So unfortunately, it's a very painful way to learn, but it's quite effective because you are actually doing it yourself and, making mistakes and correcting them. So I have taken 2 courses at the moment, one on LinkedIn for Python. There's a lady called Michelle Ryan. She's fantastic. And she has like a very good course that it just runs over. Like this is more or less what you can do with Python. And these are things that you should know about. And then you can go deeper yourself. And then I've done another course for NumPy, which is basically like the DAX part of Python, so to the calculation. And then I've been doing a lot of Matplotlib because the visualizations you can do there are just out of this world. You can change absolutely everything, like every single thing that you see on a chart, you can change it. And that gives you such power, right? To create everything that you can imagine. I haven't been able to do that before, I've always was like, the software that I was using always was limiting me somehow. Not anymore. And
But with Deneb, for example, if you compare Python to Deneb, in terms of how can you customize everything?
I'm guessing that. Wait, 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
My COVID.
Sorry.
Oh, good.
So I am guessing that they are quite similar, right? Because actually, Vega and Vega Lite, you can do that in Python. So I think if you are going to do data visualization, probably Deneb in Power BI Deneb is probably a better choice, because Python and Power BI integration is not good at all. You need to have a personal gateway, right? Yeah. The enterprise gateway won't work.
Yeah.
There's just a few packages that are allowed, which means you won't be able to do a ton of stuff. And then there's no interactivity. It just renders as images only. So those things do not happen with Deneb. You can actually do everything that you like. But I'm not sure. I haven't tested Deneb, so I'm not sure exactly if there's any other limitation. You guys should probably tell me if there's anybody in the audience that I've used. But I think
someone from the audience, yeah.
Yeah. Python, the new VBA, yes.
Yeah.
God, it's absolutely fantastic. I was using Power Automate, or trying to use Power Automate to create automated WordPress posts, but you can only do it with the custom post type, like the one from WordPress. And I have my blog post in another place that uses another post type. So I couldn't use Power Automate. But now when you can code, everything
you have full control.
Full control is absolutely amazing. I will do videos once I have my program. So anybody, if they want to learn how to automate their marketing stuff, they will be able to do it.
That's nice. So we are looking forward to see new videos from Python as well.
Yeah. We're actually creating a game now on the channel. I'm not sure if you've seen it. So we're creating a crime game that we're learning Python. So it's quite. Again, it's a fun way to learn without having to go through a course and following the exercises. And this is like we go wild into the into what we think we can create, and then we just go for it.
Okay,
So
nice.
this is really good. And now Tarin with another interesting question. So filters on a report page or filters in report pane?
Good question. Good question. It depends. As always. No. So here's the thing. If the user is going to use that filter very, very often, put it on the report pane, right? Because it will be annoying to just have to go to the filter pane every single time just to, right, find your filter. But if it is just filters that will happen now and then and not so often, and then put them in the filter pane. So I say it would depend, and talk to your customers. They will tell you where they want their filters. Probably. Then if you have like a problem with speed, that you have too many filters, probably they will accept if you move them to the filter pane just to get a better performance of your Power BI report. But I would say it depends on the usage of the filters.
That's always my beloved answer to a lot of Power BI questions. Simply it depends.
Yeah, I mean it does. It's so hard to just be an absolutist about anything with Power BI because it depends.
It's completely true.
Yeah, it can be done in many ways. Almost everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is no single way that works for everything. It's just not. So you have to look at the situation, talk to your users, and figure it out together. There's no other way.
I like when
You need to
I
be
have
creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That reminds me when I do a session and they're explaining some DAX nuances, and I show 4 different ways to get the same results. And I tell the people that the beauty of DAX is that you can achieve the same outcome in many different ways. Of course, some are better, some not. But yeah, that's the beauty, not just of DAX. I would say almost all parts of Power BI.
Yeah. I agree. Actually, in the 25 days of DAX Riders challenge, I was measuring how many DAX functions were used for the same question, and it was just crazy. Like crazy. It was like 50 different for every single question. You're like, oh my God. I was thinking it was like 15, but it was like 50. People were using everything.
Especially when it comes, I always have fun on a lot of my sessions when it comes to filter function in DAX.
Oh.
So you can do so just from a number of functions that are doing filtering.
Yeah.
That's the first part. And then in how many ways you can use them, good or bad ways.
Exactly. It's just, oh my God. And then if you should use calculate, you use filter, the community is a little bit more mature now. So there are a lot of people that have a lot of opinions about a lot of things. So now we have these wars as should you use calculate or not? Should you use filter or not? Then we need to be, to have an approach that is, how to say, reasonable, right? It depends on what you're doing. It depends on who you are. You're allowed to use filter or not, right? If you are a business user, use filter as much as you like. Who cares? The report is
especially if you have a few thousand lines or a few dozens of lines of in a model, in the end, it will work perfectly fine.
Exactly. Pragmatic.
No one cares. Yeah.
Yes. So let's not put everything on one basket because it doesn't have to be. It depends.
Yeah, that's true. We have another question from Ayush who asked, do you prefer to do dashboard wireframing design discussions in Power BI or external tool like Figma? Figma is very popular, I have to admit.
Yeah. I normally don't do any wireframing in Power BI for one reason. if you wireframe, especially if you wireframe in the beginning, when you still don't know what your customer wants and you don't even know what you want, you're forcing yourself to put something there. There's a box and you have to put something there because there's a box. You did the box, so a graph should go there. No, maybe instead of having 4 boxes, you want to have a big map instead, just one big map. But not because you have 4 boxes, you're limiting yourself and your client that it should be 4 graphs. So just let the story tell you where things should be placed rather than putting the boxes and then filling it with stuff. Does it make sense?
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
but that's my crazy approach. I don't know.
Do you
If
believe
you're-
in those stories like you split the screen into 9 equal cells and then distribute visuals? You believe in that or no?
No.
Okay, just
Not at
asking.
all. I mean, but for the reason that I was explaining, you're forcing yourself to put something there where maybe there shouldn't be. Maybe you're putting it just because you have a space. Well, the story can be told without it, and the less you put in there that shouldn't be there, the better your design is going to be for your users too. It takes a lot of cognitive load to read something that has a lot of color and has a lot of lines and a lot of. So the less that you put in there, the easier it's going to be for the reader to understand what you're trying to say. With that, it doesn't mean that you're using wireframe. So once I have my story ready and I know how I want to tell it, then I do Figma, right? Or Photoshop, or it depends on what the job is.
Different tools.
Because then you can do it, and say, okay, I'm going to put a big map here, and I'm going to put a legend here and a title there, and then I put boxes around it. But not before, if it makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And Ayush said also absolutely makes sense. I agree.
And one
cool.
question is also creating a lot of hype on all the social networks where Power BI community is talking about. And what's your number one missing feature in Power BI?
Oh.
Not just one, like a list.
Exactly. It's just what I want is a better visualization page. In general, like better visuals, better formatting options, better, so we can actually deliver fantastic reports to our users. It's so hard to do today because you have to hack every single thing. But they say they're going to fix it, right? So my complaints, I'm not complaining as much as I did before because they said, like, we're on it. We will fix it, we promise, right? But that's the thing that I miss the most. I think that I can do a ton of things with DAX. I can do all the cleaning stuff in Power Query, model like a queen. But then when it gets to the thing that matters the most, that's where I struggle because the tool does not allow me to do what I want to do. Definitely not in an efficient way. The technical depth of what we have to do today is too big. So sometimes I just don't do stuff because I know that they will not be able to maintain it. My customers will go mad if they have like 40 bookmarks just to be able to create some crazy effect. I don't do it.
Yeah,
and especially when you're now mentioning bookmarks, so maybe it's fun to create them, but once somebody needs to maintain it 6 months afterwards, it's usually a nightmare.
It is bad. And then when you're changing things, the bookmark does not update itself, and then everything breaks. And I don't want to have that type of reports created, so I tune it down and have rather more simpler visualizations just for the sake of the technical depth, right? So they can manage and update it themselves.
So Armand is just...
What?
We will wait 2 more years. No, thank you.
I think you said it wrong. What did it? No.
This was a typo, Armand, right? This was a typo.
Oh no, I thought it was going to be 23. Okay.
Let's see. We'll ask Miguel next month what is happening, and maybe we'll know the answer.
Yeah, what will be the year?
We
Hopefully,
want
yeah. Hopefully,
2033.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, we'll wait.
Ruth, next thing I want to ask you, M or DAX? I remember a while ago, I think maybe a year ago or something, you mentioned on Twitter or LinkedIn, I forgot, that your Power Query videos are not as close as popular as your DAX videos. What do you think is the reason for that?
Because M is easy. Power Query is easy. So you don't need
Really?
to search. Yeah. You don't need to search for help as much as you need with DAX. So DAX, people need more help. And therefore they go out online more and search more and find the videos. And even if you find a video, it doesn't really mean that you will find the answer, right? You know it. So
Yeah,
it
you
is a
hope.
lot harder. Yeah. With Power Query, you can copy paste a little bit like Excel and it works, right? So you go to Power BI community, copy, paste, works, change the name of the column from above. With that, that doesn't happen. Yeah, so I think that's why the DAX is just more difficult. So people need more help.
And does that fact impact your decision about recording the next videos? Like, okay, my Power Query videos are not so popular. I won't record it even though I have some interesting thing to show, or
No. I did that. There was, I think it was like 2 years ago. I said like, oh, I'm going to stop with Power Query because nobody cares. And then people told me, no, don't stop. And then I thought about it, like, why should I stop? I mean, my videos are always very niched. So because whatever I do for a customer, I say like, that was quite cool. I show it. So it's like very specific use cases of something that I'm working on. And nowadays, a lot of users, are new. So they want to see like, okay, full tutorial of Power BI or, easy stuff on Power BI. And that does not rock my little data world. So I don't do that. I like to do the hardcore stuff that some poor soul is going to need at some point in their career, and they will find my video, and he and I will be very happy.
that's true.
So no, I just do what I think people should see. If there's something new that I do that I haven't at least seen before, that might help others, regardless of what is trending or what is use, the hype thing that will get to the likes and the views and all that stuff. Probably wrong, but
Yeah, but if it my opinion is, if it helps even one person to solve their problem, then it's worth.
Yeah. I agree. That's exactly my philosophy too. If it helps somebody, because the easiest stuff, anybody can do it. They don't need me to do it, or they don't need you either. So it's cool that we have, creators that focus on difficult stuff. So when people get stuck, they find us, and we can serve that community too. That happens more than once. Or that you find the videos on niche.
So after all those videos and content, how do you release your mind from Power BI? So how do you recharge your batteries to get new ideas and everything?
I think I am lucky with my customers that they are always challenging me, So they're always, when they come to me, they've tried the Power BI community and they tried everything else, and they say, Ruth, we need help. Come on, let's do this. And then I always ask them, like, can I do a video on this? For example, the export rows, the Power Automate export rows to Excel, it was actually a customer. And they wanted to do it. And we did it together. We found a solution that apparently works very, very well. That's the feedback that I'm getting. So everybody's now using it. Super happy. I got a message yesterday. Somebody exported 5.7 million rows out of Power BI using that solution. It was like, how cool is that? So nice. So yeah. Oh my God, I'm talking too much.
We are almost close to a full hour. So pretty much just thinking about new users coming in, coming to your channel, to your videos. If they are completely new to Power BI, I know I'm asking because now Nicola and few of us did a bootcamp for completely new users in Power BI. What would be your advice to them? If they're coming to your channel, what to watch, where to start from?
For learning Power BI? Yeah, so it is obviously a little bit biased because it's how I learn the best, but I think the best way to learn something is by doing. And not by doing something that somebody else is doing, but doing something that interests you. So let's say that you love, I don't know, Lego.
Football.
Or
Lego, yeah.
football. Yeah. Any topic that you like. So go out, find data on that topic, and visualize it for you, because it's your case, and you're going to find the nuances. You're going to fail a lot. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes are going to help you. Are going to help you how to learn documentation, how to search online, how to solve problems in a very practical way, right? In a very concrete way. Otherwise, if you're just following what somebody else is doing, you're going to learn, but not as much. So combine everything. Take courses for what is Power BI, frame your, this is what you can do, and then do projects yourself on what interests you to, speed up your learning. Because I'm taking courses on Python. I mean, I am taking courses. I need to take courses to understand the fundamentals and the basics, right? You can't just wing it everything. But is the practical work, the game, the Python game, and the automation that I'm doing that is actually teaching me faster. The stuff that I can do in 3 months only is just crazy.
Yeah, that's a great advice,
true.
I would say. Find what motivates you and then your passion, and then try to visualize it, and that's the best motivation to learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely great advice.
And when it gets tough, you'll do it.
Yeah, sure.
Because you want it done, right?
Yeah. I absolutely agree. One last thing that I wanted to ask you: how one lady from Spain lives in Sweden? It's a strange combination, I would say.
Yeah, it is definitely strange. Important.
Usually people from Sweden want to move to Spain because of climate and everything else. So
I want to move to Spain. What happened? Yeah. No, I got imported. Love imported from, the Erasmus program.
Maybe you can write some Python script to teleport from Sweden to Spain when needed. Yeah.
I'm on it.
Yeah. So one last question from our audience. Henrik asked, can you give a few more use cases from learning Python to supplement Power BI and Power Query?
Oh, there are a ton. So, for example, one of the things that you can do with Python is web scraping. You can get data from anywhere and put it anywhere that you like. So you can use that for your data engineering part, like grabbing information online and then store it in Azure or Google BigQuery or whatever it is. And you can schedule it with, you don't need to have any Azure functions or any crazy stuff. Windows Scheduler will do it. I have a Python script that goes into the web, grabs data, and then with the Windows Scheduler, I have it. So every hour it gives me my data and puts in Power BI surveys. And I have it as a stream data set. It costs nothing. Python is completely free also. So there's no licenses, there's no nothing. You can do, seriously, with Python, you can do absolutely anything. I'm just, I get a headache sometimes of the possibilities that you have.
We are waiting for your videos. You promised you do videos on Python, so we are eagerly waiting. Definitely.
Yes. I've already started the series with the game just to ease into the stuff while I create all this automation. And then once I have it, I'm going to start creating, the videos for how to automate your team life, right?
Amazing.
And last one from my side. Did you finish Christmas shopping?
Oh, I haven't even started. Amazon, where are you?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Good.
gosh.
Yeah.
Now I got panic.
Yeah, that's you still have time. So it's just Tuesday, so
Like
I'm
3 more
working
days.
on Amazon.
Yeah.
yeah, so we wanna thank you really for your time, and it was really fun. 1 hour of chat, and it went so quickly that just because it was interesting and fun. So thank you for joining. Thank for all of our audience for being with us throughout the year. So I put my Merry Everything and Happy Always shirt. So for all of you, and see you next year. Wish you all
Thank you.
nice
From my side, Ruth,
holidays.
thank you very much. Get well soon. Wish you speed recovery, and to all the others, thanks for joining us throughout the year. We have some cool announcements for the next year as well, and cool guests. So Merry Christmas and enjoy the holidays. I don't have this ugly shirt like Augustine, but yeah.
Yeah. So we are back with you in January with Miguel Myers from Microsoft, talking a bit more about what's coming new and when it's coming in Power BI visual world. So see you all there, and have a nice evening and entire holidays.
Thank
Enjoy the
you.
holidays.
Bye.
Ruth, thank you very much, and sorry that we had to keep you